What's going on, guys? Spudable again, back in with another video, and today I'm going to be doing a ranking video, which I've always wanted to do, but I felt as it is probably the perfect time to do it. A ranking of all the Halloween movies from worst to best. Now, first of all, this is my list, so it's not going to be the same as your list, essentially. And, I respect everyone's opinions, on most things, but, Halloween franchise is very important to me, and I always just wanted to rank these films for the longest time, but now that Halloween Ends is out, I thought that this would be the perfect time to do it because for now, that's the end of the franchise. So, hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and I'm going to put a lot of effort into this one, more so than usually my other videos, so hopefully you guys enjoy it, and post your list in the comments below once the video is done, or during the video, whatever you want to do, but let's get into it for number 13 on my list. So number 13 on my list is easily, without a doubt, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. This movie fucking sucks, bar none. I don't get how some people put this movie above others, like Halloween Kills and other movies. This movie is a piece of fucking shit. In my opinion, it is the most boring, the worst crafted, the most just lifeless movie. They made it in under a year just to capitalize off the success of Halloween 4, and this movie just fucking sucks. It's horrible, in my opinion. Michael sucks. His mask is horrible in this movie. This what they do with Loomis, making him some crazy guy who's going after Jamie because like she knows how to defeat Myers. Apparently, somehow, just makes no sense for his character. The kills, the characters, they kill Rachel off, who's like one of the better final girls in this franchise. Kill her off in the first like 20 minutes of the movie to replace her with one of the worst final girls in this franchise, Tina. What an absolute joke. This movie is a piece of shit, and I will never ever understand how this isn't at everyone's bottom. But opinions are opinions, but for me, this movie, fucking garbage. Coming in at number 12 is kind of a hot take for me, I would say, as most people wouldn't have this movie this low, but I honestly can't stand this movie. Both of its cuts fucking suck. That is going to be Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, or Halloween 6. For me, I've seen both cuts, and I can't stand this movie. The characters suck. Myers is good in this movie, I won't lie. Some of the kills are good, and that's probably the only reason it's above Halloween 5. But the story with the whole Cult of Thorns shit and the producer's cut is horrible, and then just the whole rushed, thrown together version that we get in the theatrical cut is just downright terrible. I can't see, like, I guess I could see why people like this movie, and I guess it had potential to be something, but what we got is a mess. This movie is fucking terrible, and I can't stand it. This movie is god awful. Coming in at number 11 is most people's bottom of this franchise, which I do understand for sure. This movie fucking sucks, and that is Halloween Resurrection. Now, Halloween Resurrection is trash. It's terrible. It's a bad movie, but I do get some enjoyment out of it just because there is some cool aspects to it with the whole found footage thing. There's some cool things, some cool kills, I guess. Brad Laree as Myers isn't that bad, but everything else just ruining the ending of Halloween H2O in the very beginning. Myers being basically a bitch in this movie is a fucking sin within itself. Busta Rhymes being in this movie for some reason and using karate to fight Michael Myers, that is just a sin within itself as well. This movie is absolute fucking trash. I don't understand what they were thinking with this movie. If they really wanted to make another movie after H2O's perfect ending, they should have just made this in its own contained timeline, but I guess they just thought this would be better. But yeah, Halloween Resurrection, don't get me wrong, it's fucking ass, but in my opinion, I at least can enjoy it more for how bad it is than the other two that I just talked about. Coming in my number 10 is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Now, for the longest time, I thought this movie was pretty fucking bad, and I still think it's pretty fucking bad. There's a lot of just Rob Zombie-isms in this movie with the trash dialogue, the just nasty, disgusting tone. It doesn't have that charm or that atmosphere that Halloween usually has. It just feels all too dirty, too grungy. But there are some cool stuff in this movie. Of course, Tyler Mane, I think, is a great Myers. He's probably my top 3 Myers for sure. He's has a good presence. He's good in the role. Scout Taylor Compton's role in this movie, there is a lot of stuff I do like about her performance in this movie, especially with her finding out that she's Michael's sister, which we did not get in the original films. That reaction was great, but I just can't stand all the trash dialogue. What they do to Loomis in this movie is horrible. The two different endings with the different cuts where one Myers like talks is fuck that as garbage, and the fact that like Myers doesn't even have the mask on at all the whole most of the movie, and the white horse trash, like it just it's not the worst. It's not unwatchable. It's not the worst to me. It has a vision. I would say I could see why people enjoy it, but for me, this is not what I'm looking for in these movies, and for me, it is easily one of the worst at my number 10. Coming in at number 9 is the first Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now, from here on up, these are movies that I can stomach and enjoy. So, Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, I do think is a decent movie. The first 30 minutes with all that redneck garbage trash dialogue can go burn in hell. That section of the movie is fucking terrible. The Smith's Grove section of this movie is actually probably my favorite part of it. We never really got to see those aspects of Myers and Loomis in their connection in Smith's Grove ever in the other films. So I like those sections the most. It could have been done better, I think. It kind of was glossed over a lot, but bar none, I would say then the ending is more just like a quick Rob Zombie version of the original film, which it's okay, it's not terrible. Some cool kills, some cool atmosphere. Tyler Mane is great. Scout Taylor Compton is good as Laurie, like she's not terrible. It's just a very just okay version of the original with some cool ideas, but with a lot of baggage that just comes with every Rob Zombie movie. And for that, I can't really give it any much of a higher rating, but it is not a bad movie at all in my opinion, and it's one that sometimes I do feel like wanting to watch, even if that first act is really bad. But overall, though, that's why it's at my number 9. Coming in my number 8 is the new Kid on the Block, Halloween Ends. Now, Halloween Ends is starting to grow on me a bit, especially since my last few videos I've made about it. Halloween Ends is a very bold movie, I could say that. There's a lot of stuff that the movie tries to do that I think, in a lot of ways, succeeds and fails at. Of course, Jamie Lee Curtis is great in the movie. I like her character, or I like Laurie Strode in this movie, I should say. I like how she ends up at the end. I think it's a great conclusion in a vacuum. It's just that the conclusion of this whole movie really didn't feel like it had build up. The movie was focused on other things instead of what the movie was marketed as, but in a way, I kind of like that. It kind of like pulls the rug out of under you, and there's a lot of interesting things that they do with the movie. And as the more I think about it, the more I like it. And it has potential to go up on this list. But right now, for me at least, Halloween Ends is a decent conclusion to a trilogy, which I think is the best timeline in this franchise. But overall, just a really weird, bold movie that has a lot of swings that didn't really execute them all well. But I think for sure is a movie that might be looked back on as a cult classic, and it's already growing on me, so for sure in the future might be higher on this list. We'll have to wait and see, but for right now, it is at my number 8. Sorry. Coming in at my number 7 is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Now, after Halloween 3 and that whole fiasco with that movie, they had to go back to the basics, and they bring Myers back, and I didn't always thought this movie was very, very overrated throughout my life. And I still think it is a bit, but I do really, really like this movie. I love a lot of the aspects of it. Jamie Lloyd, Danielle Harris is great. A great, like, new, unique take on whose Myers victims are, which is a little girl this time, which is really cool to see a different dynamic to that. Dr. Loomis is great in this movie. Donald Pleasant's coming back. Really, really good. I really like his dynamic with Michael in this movie. George P. Wilbur Michael is good, but the hockey pads and the mask are just so ass and makes him look awkward and not intimidating enough. But I do like how Mike Myers is smart in this movie. He's very meticulous. He takes down the power. He takes out the police force. Like, he does a lot of smart things to get to his target. I like the writing for Myers in this movie. Kills were great too. I really liked the kills in this movie as well, and the atmosphere and everything like that. It felt like a true return to form for the franchise after Halloween 3. So, which is either a good or a bad thing. How you see Halloween 3 hasn't been on this list yet, so we'll talk about it. But Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, easily the best of the Thorn trilogy, and a great, good, decent sequel to a masterpiece that came out in 1978. Coming into my number 6 is Halloween 2, 1981. So this movie is the one movie that is the most in line with Carpenter's original vision. I really do like this movie. I used to love it way more, but I feel like it hasn't aged that well compared to some of these other movies, especially some later in this list. But Halloween 2, 1981 is a true successor to the original. It has a very similar look, feel. It feels like you can watch them back to back, and basically it's the same story. It's a nice, contained movie. The hospital scenes to me are the weakest part of the movie. A lot of it just drags, and there's nothing really going on in the movie for a while. Myers is good in this movie, except for the whole robotic zombie kind of take that they take the character in, and I really don't like that. But I think Dick Warlock did good in every other aspect besides maybe like the walk and stuff like that. Jamie Lee Curtis is very wasted in this movie too. It feels like she's kind of just there to be there because she was in the first one, while Michael's just going around killing random people, which the kills are good in this movie. I really like the kills, especially the one where he drowns that nurse in like boiling water. Great stuff right there. And the ending is really thrilling as well, with Loomis and Michael seemingly dying and explode in a big explosion, which of course gets retconned later. But overall, though, Halloween 2 is a good sequel. It's a classic, but to me, it is not the greatest of this franchise or the greatest sequel in my opinion. Coming in at number 5 is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Now, this movie is absolutely 100% underrated. The fact that people hated this movie because Myers is not in it is kind of stupid if you think about it. Yes, maybe it shouldn't belong in this franchise, but as an actual movie, it is unique, it is creepy, it is balls deep in its craziness. It has an amazing ending, an amazing concept, very just amazing music as well. Just Tom Atkins' character is cool. He's not the best protagonist in this franchise, but I really like his journey throughout this and the whole Silver Shamrock thing. It's a really great, awesome concept and a good movie in that sense. Just I really don't understand the hate for this movie. I would have liked to see what the anthology idea would have been if they would have continued with it, but obviously Myers returned, and I'm glad he came back. But in a different timeline, I really would like to see what it would have been like if we would have stuck with this whole anthology type thing. But overall, I love Season of the Witch. It's grown on me a lot over the years, especially this time with this rewatch, and it's an awesome movie. Coming in at my number 4 is Halloween Kills. Now, I know there's a lot of hate for this movie. A lot of people don't like it, but I really do enjoy the hell out of this movie. Now, there's a lot of aspects that I love. I say Myers is probably at his peak in this movie with how badass, ferocious, and just awesome he is. Everything with Myers in this movie is perfect. I would also say the acting, for the most part, is good. Everyone brings their A game here. The flashbacks to 1978 were perfect, and I love the character development with Hawkins that they do with those flashbacks. Really great stuff. Laurie, once again, is sidelined to a hospital in this movie, which is very reminiscent of Halloween 2, but I didn't mind it that much, and I didn't mind the whole mob mentality storyline, but I will say the script is the weakest part of this movie. The dialogue is really bad in a lot of places. The Evil Dies Tonight thing is really bad, and I understand why people can't stand the movie, but for me, I kind of like to look past a lot of the issues because I like the way the story is presented. I love how Myers is presented, and there's a lot of great ideas and a lot of things I do like about the story, but a lot of it is held back by that script. But I feel like it's one of those movies where the script is really bad, but but the movie, everything else around it elevates the bad script. It's a lot like Aquaman or Doctor Strange 2 in that matter, where the script is really bad, but everything else brings it up more. So, in my opinion, I really do enjoy, even in some cases, love Halloween Kills, but it really is a mess of a movie in a lot of instances, and a really dumb movie in a lot of instances. But it is a movie that I do enjoy, and I would be lying if I say that any other movie under this that I enjoy more than Halloween Kills. Now entering my top three, my number three pick is Halloween H2O. Now, this movie, after coming off the Thorn trilogy, just erasing that whole trilogy and just having a sequel to Halloween 2, 1981, was a great, great movie. I love Halloween H2O. It brings back the simple nature, the story with Laurie Strode and how she's moved on from everything about Myers coming back, and I don't mind the California setting. It doesn't. I understand how it doesn't have the Halloween feel, but I think it makes sense for the story. It's a movie that the setting does elevate the movie. It makes sense. It's not just a setting change that's just there to have a setting change. I do actually like Chris Duran Myers in this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, the masks are really fucking bad in this movie. The mask is probably one of the worst masks. The mold of the mask itself isn't that bad, but the eye holes where you just see Chris Duran like this in the movie looking through the mask is really bad. But I thought Chris Duran did a great job with the performance wise, and the fight between Laurie and Myers at the end was perfect. It's probably, I say, better than the Ends fight. Really conclusive, really badass, and I thought it was a great way if they were going to end the franchise. That's how they would end it right there. Still definitively probably the best ending to the franchise, I would say. Even though I enjoy Ends ending, this one just was built up and paid off magnificently. Coming in my number two is Halloween 2018. Now, this was the movie that I first saw in theaters that was in this franchise. And this was the movie that really spawned a lot of my love for film. And this is the movie that spawned the two Halloween fan films that I made. As bad as they might be, I had never had a better time of my life than making those two films, and this movie was the reason for it. This movie, when it was coming out, was so hype, and everything about it delivers, and it still delivers to this day even more. Each time I watch it, the movie is fucking fire, guys. The way it's presented, Myers in this movie, come on. Awesome shit. Awesome kills. Laurie Strode is awesome in this movie, the way they take her character with the whole Sarah Connor thing, all the new characters they add. The only thing that's really bad about this movie is some of the jokes and the whole Dr. Sartain shit, which nowadays, seeing where the trilogy ended now, I feel like the Dr. Sartain thing was the least of this trilogy's problems. It is a stupid twist. I'm not defending it, but I feel like I don't hate it as much as I did when I first saw the movie. It's kind of like a thing that just happens, and I kind of just deal with it, because the rest of the movie is fire. The final part of the movie when they're fighting in the house, and she traps him down there, and they light it on fire. What a genius, awesome set piece of a final fight there. Even that is probably better than the Halloween Ends final fight, which is crazy to say. But Halloween 2018 was a real, true spiritual successor, I say, to my number one on this list. But easily, though, I love 2018. I will always love 2018. And it's a movie that I will continue to watch every year, essentially, for the rest of my life. So, Halloween 2018, I love you, man. Great fucking movie, and it's my number two. And coming in at my number one, easily, for sure, without a doubt, in anyone's mind, is the 1978 original classic. Halloween 1978, John Carpenter, man, created a amazing franchise. The legacy that this movie holds is insane. It basically spawned the birth of slashers. Now, there were other slashers movies before this movie, but this one is the one that pushed in the stardom. There would be no Jason. There would be no Freddy. There would be no Ghostface. There would be no any of these slasher movies without this movie. They wouldn't be as big as they were. This movie is perfectly simple. This movie is perfectly just the atmosphere, the way it's directed. Myers in this movie, fucking fire. His presence is felt throughout the whole movie, even though he only has like under 10 minutes of screen time. And when he finally starts to pop off and go after Jamie Lee Curtis, which for one of her first roles ever, she's pretty good in this movie. And the other characters in this movie, yeah, the acting, some of it hasn't aged well, but I still don't think that really knocks the movie down that much, because it's perfectly the people, the way people act in this movie, the way the writing is, it's perfect for what this movie's going for. The kills are simplistic, they aren't gory, but that's not the point. The point is that Michael is evil itself, and this movie represents that point perfectly to a T, better than any movie has in this franchise since. And for sure, always, I feel like this movie's going to be the best in this franchise, because it simply is just the original untampered with vision that John Carpenter had for this franchise. Bar none, this movie is amazing. I love this movie to death, and it will always be one of my favorite horror films and one of my favorite films of all time. Well, there you have it, guys. There's my list for my Halloween franchise, completely ranked from worst to best. Now, I know there's going to be some list, or there's going to be some picks on this list that are going to be controversial, especially regarding the newer films, the newer ones for the Blumhouse trilogy. But like I say, opinions are opinions, so leave your opinion about mine in the comments section below. But overall, though, this is the video I've always wanted to make, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And hopefully, I can make more videos like this soon in the future. But as I always say, like, comment, subscribe if you want. I don't care. Stay positive, stay humble, stay blessed, and I'll see you guys later in another video. Peace.